the best traders, their win rate is around 44%. I think a lot of people don't realize that. But the goal is when they win, their reward is 3 times their losses. So if they're winning and they have bigger wins and then their losses are real small, they don't have to win all the time. They can actually lose most of the time and still do well. So I think that's something people don't realize about traders.
You're listening to the Rich State of Mind Show, the podcast made to make you the total package in the entrepreneurial world and give you what we call a rich state of mind. If you are here looking to learn about real estate investing, marketing, elevating your business, and developing your mindset to get to the next level, then you are at the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join our community on richstateofmind.com. Now here's your host, Anthony Ritchie.
Hey, Terry, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. I really appreciate you, this perspective that we're going to get with stock trading, especially coming from your background. So if you could please just tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Thanks for having me, Anthony. This is exciting to be here. So I trade stocks and I travel around the world. Literally, that is what I do. But it didn't always start that way. I actually used to be an assistant principal of an elementary school, and things got super hectic, super crazy. I found myself crying in the bathroom like all the time, and I needed an exit strategy. So for me, it was investing in stocks. If I could just make $300 a day, then I can replace my income. So I started working up to that, finally hit that goal, was able to leave the school, and then went all over. Was in South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, just everywhere. And people started asking me like, how are you affording all that? We know you used to be in education. Y'all don't make no money. And I said, it's stocks. I've been affording my flights, my hotels, everything through trading. And then people started asking me to teach them how to trade. So now I also teach people. We have over 12,000 students I've taught. I have the #1 class on a platform called Teachable. And it's been phenomenal teaching people how to trade. And I called it trade and travel because that's what I do.
Yeah. And I saw that you were also able to, retire your mother from this.
Yes, I've been able to do so many cool things. Like in 2021, I retired my mom, and she was in education too. She actually was a advisor for students in a university. And I also paid off a house. I paid for a house in cash. I moved to Puerto Rico. I paid off all my debt, like all these things through both trading and teaching people how to trade. So it's been a phenomenal ride.
And so what did you do to kind of get this knowledge to where now you've become the teacher?
I've been trading now 12 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's been a while, but I always traded like in the beginning, it was 2010, and I had a realtor who actually got me into investing because I was going to go invest in a house. So we had been looking all over Chicago. I was in Chicago at the time, and we were looking for investment properties after the market fell. But he kept telling me how he was making money in stocks. And I'm sitting here like, oh, well, I got $35,000 I'm about to put down on this house. What if I put it in the stock market? And I did. I opened up an E-Trade account. And so 2010, that's when I started actually trading. But I thought I was going to invest in houses and switched course.
And so at what point did you feel comfortable to be able to leave your job? Was it a certain, did you have like what they call a freedom number?
Yeah, it was the $300 a day. So I traded as a side hustle from 2010 to 2017. And during that time, I had several different jobs in education. I worked for a ministry. I worked for Teach for America, their admin department, they're like over training teachers. And then went finally to be the educator. But all this time I was trading as a side hustle. My goal was if I made $300 a day, and for me, that was per day because I'm a day and swing trader, then that would be enough to replace my assistant principal salary, which was about $60,000 a year. So that was my freedom number, $300 a day.
So $9,000 a month.
No, I'm sorry. Trading is only for, I trade stocks and options. So it's only 5 days a week. So
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
would
yeah.
end
So
up
20.
being,
Yeah.
it'd be 1,500 a week, which would be 6,000 a month.
Yep.
hmm And then it ended up being about 72,000 a year, but you don't always make money. So I leave room in there. So for me, it was about, like some days you might lose and not make money. So for me, that would get me to about the $60,000 range.
You know what? And the reason why I said that was because like I told you, I was doing Dogecoin and crypto. So like I was able to look,
Ah,
buy and sell even on the weekends.
yeah,
I forgot about the
crypto,
regular stocks.
both
Yeah.
crypto and futures, y'all can make money every day. And what was cool is this year I actually did that a little bit. So any money that was still in cash in my trading account, I'd move it on the weekends over to like Bitcoin or USDC coin. That's a stable coin. And then let it kind of make some interest on the weekend. And then I'd go
No,
back to
yeah.
trading
That's
during the
that's
week.
smart. That's actually really smart. Like I was telling you before we started recording, I appreciate you getting on here because first time talking about stocks, I think I'm a big believer in people having a vessel to grow wealth. This may not end up being the thing that they do forever, but at least it can get somebody ahead if they learn to do it the right way. Because when it comes to investing, everything's a risk, but it's a calculated risk, and you have mastered that to where now I see on your page, you guarantee people, hey, if you go by everything that I teach you, you can make 1,000 a day, which to some people is like, whoa, they don't even make
Yeah.
1,000. Maybe even it takes maybe a week to make 1,000.
And I
Uh,
gotta clarify that too. So we have $1,000 in a day club. A lot of people take the in off, but it makes such a difference. So with me, I have gotten to a place where I can make hundreds of thousands in a day
mhm.
trading stocks. But the thought is when you trade, it can be a swing trade. Like you get in and then you let the trade ride for a week. And when you sell it, you realize a profit of $1,000. That
Mhm.
qualifies for the $1,000 in a day club because you realized $1,000 in that day. But that doesn't mean that every single day you made $1,000. So I do want to clarify that because yes, it is possible. I have students and myself that are able to make $1,000 every day, but there's going to be times where you make money in a day, times where you lose money. So it's more of an average. You're averaging $1,000 on a regular basis.
No, and thank you for clarifying that because people would automatically assume that, but that obviously makes sense because even the best of traders, I don't, they're probably you're not making a profit every single day. It happens.
Right. The best traders, their win rate is around 44%. I think a lot of people don't realize that. But the goal is when they win, their reward is 3 times their losses. So if they're winning and they have bigger wins and then their losses are real small, they don't have to win all the time. They can actually lose most of the time and still do well. So I think that's something people don't realize about traders.
What are you looking for in a company to say, all right, that's the company I want to invest in?
I'm looking for healthy companies. So I actually have a portfolio, like a watch list of about 30 companies that I've been trading for years. Like literally, some of those have been on my portfolio since 2010. I remember when they were wondering if Apple would cross $100. This is before it went to 700 and split and then went to 400 and split. Like this was like back, like the first time it passed $100. I remember when Amazon was $199 and everybody on Wall Street was saying that nobody is going to buy stuff from online. They just rather go into the store. So they'd rather go to Walmart. So I've been trading a while. So for me, I'm looking at companies that are healthy. When I say healthy, that means that when their earnings come out, like once a quarter, the companies say how they're doing. They are positive. They have better earnings than or better profits than losses. They have a good trajectory over time. Like when you look at the last 12 months, has it been on an uptrend? I'm also looking for stocks that will move. So there's some companies where their stock is great, but it's like a blue collar company that doesn't really move much. For us, we need to have it move at least $1 a day. That way we can make our goals.
Okay.
When I told you we are doing trying to make $300 in a day for me replacing my income, I had to have a company that moves at least $1. That way I could have 300 shares and reach my goal that day. But if it didn't move, that wouldn't work. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at. Healthy companies, and they're really things that a longer term investor would also hold, but we're just trading in and out of it so that we can make income. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, and it actually leads me to my next question as far as how old is a company, how much of a history in the market do they have to have for you to feel comfortable? 5 years, 2 years?
You know what? I just want them to have data. I'm a technical analysis trader, so I need to be able to see what their chart is doing. And a stock chart is just, it shows where the stock price has been over time. I need to be able to see where that's been. So that means for me, I'm not investing in a company that just comes out, like they call that an IPO, initial public offering. I'm not investing in IPOs because they don't have any data. I need it to be out for at least 2 to 3 quarters for me to see where is the stock price really supposed to be? What is the real value of this company? Then I can get in.
Awesome. Thank you for breaking that down. And because I'm sitting there, because I remember when Airbnb came out for the IPO for Airbnb, and everybody was jumping on it. And I don't know where it's at right now, but I think it opened up like at $60, and then it jumped.
Yeah, Airbnb is one of the few IPOs that actually did well. Most IPOs will pop. That means they go up the first hour that they open, and then they fall drastically. And everybody who tries to jump in loses money. But I remember Airbnb, they did a little bit of a pop, but then I think they started going back up after. But most of the times, I would wait before I invested in a new company. Even if I love the company, I would still wait. Like Facebook, when Facebook first came out, it also dropped. It dropped like well below where it initially came out, but it's a great company. I just would wait and give it some time.
I guess it's the idea that people are afraid to miss out. They don't want to miss out on the increase. And I think now, because a lot of the trading is done emotionally, what you see on social media, I don't know how many times I've seen, it's going to go to $100 today, buy. Like that's the all caps on the thumbnail for the YouTube video. And so like you buy into it, and then you're like, I got to buy it before I miss. And then, so like for a couple of people that bought into the ETC, Ethereum Classic and Doge, like I remember it went like really high, and people, like, let's just say for Dogecoin went to 70 cents, and now they're bag holding because like they're waiting for it to go back up to 70 cents versus kind of identifying, hey, what's the longevity portion on this, or am I just going to stick this out, or am I trying to get quick money out of it? So that's the one thing I like about it. I ain't gonna lie, there is a bit of a rush in that, but I like to bring it back down to calculated risk versus Vegas gambling.
Right. The biggest mistake that a trader can do is have fear of missing out, FOMO. So you're emotionally trading, you're hearing everybody say that this is what it should be, and then you're jumping in, because what's really happening is you're probably going to get in at the highs. At the time that you're getting in is when all the people, they call it the smart money, the big banks, the people with hedge funds and lots of money at the highs, that's where they're taking their profit. That's where they're starting to sell. And when they start selling, then that's when the stock or the cryptocurrency is going to drop. So too many times, and I know your listeners are everybody, but especially Black people, too many times we're late to the game. And that frustrates me so much, because we listen to the hype and then we get nervous. So we wait. So even when we first hear about it, we wait and we hold on and we think about it. But by the time we finally make a move, it's too late. But that's because we're going with FOMO instead of actually what traders do. Traders, when the stock is getting high, that's when we're selling. We're not buying it when everybody is excited about it. And when the stock has come down and everybody's talking about, oh, this is horrible, get out, we're losing, that's when smart traders are buying. Like right now, the NASDAQ went down I think almost over 400 points today. That's all the technology stocks. Lately, in the first part of November, I'm not sure this is going to come out, what it'll be today when this drops, but in the beginning of November, the technology stocks are all dropping. This is actually when people should start looking to get in. But a lot of people, like, there's no hype right now. Nobody's saying go buy AutoZone or go buy
Yeah.
AMD. Everything's falling, but this is when you actually should be looking. So it frustrates me. The biggest mistake is people trying to invest with the hype because they usually get in too late.
It sounds simple, but I understand that with a lot of people, money is an emotion, right? Because you work for it. For some people, that is maybe all they got. $500 is a lot to a lot of people to not
Mm-hmm.
just say, all right, if it works out, oh, okay, this is it. And, and so I completely understand it, but they just got to fight that urge, and that's why I'm big on understanding financial literacy and mastering, the money that you have already before you start to try to invest. Because if you don't have your regular finances in order, then I can't expect you to have discipline when it comes to doing something outside of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Anthony, because when you get to being an active investor, one of the prerequisites is that I think you have to have some money saved. And I know a lot of people want to become traders and they don't have any money saved. And their thought is, well, I'm going to start making money by being a trader. But actually, the best time to start like more actively investing is when you do have things kind of more under control. So the budget, you've gotten a budget down, you've started to pay down some of your debt. You realized in 2020 that your finances were not in order. So all of 2021, you were getting things together. And now 2022, you're ready to go. This is now the time when you may want to look at being a more active investor. And that's like for me, day and swing trading. But those people have some money saved, they have a little bit more discipline. So I'm so glad that you said that. And I also wanted to know too, because I know you see this with syndication, like you have to save up to be able to invest in syndicates.
Yes.
Like, how do people get to your level too?
So two different ways. So like I said, first, obviously have some type of financial literacy about yourself, and you could do it. One of the guys I interviewed, Lane, he calls it the white knuckling way, where you start off in 2010, right? Where years ago I've been investing, doing property to property, and then once I get enough properties, I sell them, liquidate it, and then I invest into a bigger syndication. Either I'm operating it myself as a GP or operator, or as a limited partner, LP. I'm just very passive. I put my money in there, just send me my money every quarter. And so that's how those people are able to get in. Like me, me as a middle class paycheck, working in the military. So it took me some time.
Yeah.
But then you have, and this is from the most part, from what I understand, the people I've interacted with in this sector or this asset class, it's mostly high earning W-2 people. So doctors, lawyers, those type of people that they make 250, 500K, and they don't have the time to be a GP. But they still want their money to not get killed by inflation. So they invest. So that's when they usually, them being in that space, they know individuals that operate in those development syndications, and then they could it's more about investing in the person more so the deal. The deal on paper is going to make sense, but it's because that person, they're not going to squander this millions of dollars of deal. And I love it because there's professionalism in it.
Yeah.
The higher, obviously, the money, I think the more people have to lose. And this sector is more, it's a smaller circle. So if you burn your reputation, what they say, you'll never work in this town again. So
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. Those correlate with me too. Like people who have been kind of working their way up to saving and they have some discipline about their money, or people who they just have this excess cash and right now it might be sitting in a savings account making 0%, and now they want to know, okay, well, how do I make this work for me? Like, how do I make this give higher returns? Even the overall market did 26% last year. So how do I do that? So that makes a lot of sense. That correlates with the same type of people that I want to start teaching how to actively invest too.
And the cool thing I like about it, and I think this makes sense when it comes to the market as well, because if you are actively trading, I feel like you can do better than 8%. But if you're
Yeah.
passively investing, then you'll get your 8 to 10 to 12% based off what you have. And that's the same thing with real estate investing. If I'm an LP, all right, 8 to 10% interest, I'll get my money and then some. But if I'm an active operator, I'm gonna get crazy cash on cash return. I may have put 100K down, but I worked to get that $1 million cash out. So I do like the fact that the more you put into it, the more you'll get back. That's an appealing part of me. I don't mind work at all if it makes sense.
See, that's what I say too. Like, there's a lot of people that are buy and hold investors in the stock market, and they're like, oh, you don't sell, you just buy something and you leave it in there forever. And that's cool. Like we said, the average return on that is maybe 8 to 10% a year. But like I tell my students, you can actually go for your goal could be like 1% on a regular basis of your cash amount. Just even imagine if you did that 8 times, like made 1% return on your cash 8 times in a month. Well, you just made 8% return, and that's in 1 month versus the year if you're
Yeah.
more actively investing. And as traders, we can do way better than that. So I agree. Active investing will give you higher returns, but it's about what you want to work for versus what you don't. And that's everybody's personal decision.
Yes, basically this off of style and obviously time. And so, when I talked about calculated risk, how can somebody protect themselves to ensure like they're not living on the edge every day in volatile choices that they made with whatever business or stocks they invested in?
Yes, I love that you asked me that because one of the people I'm like group of people that I'm most passionate about helping is the traders that are losing.
Hmm.
Because I feel like there's a lot of people that got into retail investing, but they had no idea what they were doing. And they know that it's good, they know that it can help them, but they keep losing. They keep putting money into it. And then no matter if it's a good stock or not, they put money into Amazon, which is wonderful. But the day they put money in, it falls. so so they don't know what to do. They're like, Teri, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. That's who I have a passion for helping, because that was me. The first 6 years of me learning how to trade, I kept losing money. And even after I quit the school, I went to Thailand, and I had a huge loss. Like at the time, it was huge for me, $26,000. I lost like overnight because I didn't have risk management in place. So some of the things that I teach now in the trade and travel program is how do you calculate your quantity size? The number of shares you buy makes a difference. I had like 8,000 shares of Pandora stock when I lost big. If it goes down $1, I already lost 8,000, but I'm sitting
Hmm.
here thinking it's going to go up. Like I'm thinking I'm be rich tomorrow. So I bought all these shares. No, there's a way to calculate your quantity size. Also, reading charts helps a lot because you can actually calculate the probability of your trade being successful versus your risk before you even get in.
Awesome.
So I calculate a 3-to-1 reward to risk on any trade that I get into. Another thing is there's something called a stop loss. And I say these things all the time, and I feel like people hear me, but they don't do it. But there's actually an order type that can take you out of the trade if it goes wrong. It's another emotional thing. I think people don't like stop losses because they feel like, well, what if it takes me out and then the stock shoots back up? Yeah, but what if it takes you out and then the stock goes down further? You got out safely.
Yeah.
So
Take your
there's
profits.
right, protect yourself. There's order types like that. So I actually teach 7 different things to help with your risk in the course.
I
Mhm.
love that, and you're right about that too. Another thing, like with gambling, like you got to know when to stop, because then that's what it turns into. And having that discipline to say, all right, cool, all right, we made 2 grand. It's getting a little crazy right now. Let me take it out before I risk maybe that 2 grand going down to $800, and
Right.
that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's completely okay. You came in with more, or you came out with more than you had. But I know I get it right. But I can make so much more. I can make so much more. I completely understand that feeling.
The truth about it though is people have to realize the stock market is not going anywhere. Like, take your money, there's actually 2 things I want to say about this. One, that's why it's so important to have a goal. If you're trading for a goal, like I'm trading to buy a car, I'm trading to pay off my debt, I'm trading to make $100. I have one student, she wants to make $100 a month so she can get a massage. When you hit your goal, when you hit that 100, sell. You hit the goal, let it go, because the market's not going anywhere. You can do it again next month, or you can try again next week when the setup turns up again. Like, it's just so important that people realize you got time. You don't have to rush and make it all right now. Get what you came for, take your profit, and then the market will come back. The opportunity will come again. then you can try and do it again.
Awesome. And so, do you have a Patreon?
I don't.
And so this is probably in your course. In your course, I saw that you have a watch list. Like you get to be a part of your watch list. So that's your equivalent. If could we talk a little bit about your courses? Because I saw you had two different courses.
Sure.
I want to make sure people understand that you have all this information, but you are also able to facilitate the information to them in an organized way, so that because some people need that, right? They need that step by step in order to kind of get going. And so if we could talk about your first program, I don't remember the name. It is your Trade and Travel program. There you go.
Honestly, it's just one big program that's 8 weeks, and then we break it up into 2 halves. If you want to just start with the beginning, you can do the first 4 weeks. Or if you're like, no, Teri, I need it all right now, I want to make sure that I'm better in 2022, then you can get the whole thing for the 8-week program, which is the VIP program. But the first week we go into, and this is everything I wish I knew when I first started trading. So the first week, how do you pick the right companies? Then we go into risk management. How do you protect yourself from losing? That's week 2. Week 3 is how do you read charts to know the right time to get into a stock? Like we talked about earlier, everybody's saying get in, get in, get in. But how do you know for sure that this is a better place to buy this stock? That's charts. Then we go into a trading plan. That'll take your anxiety and butterflies out of your stomach, because it's 7 steps that I do every single time I take a trade. It's like a checklist. If you can follow the checklist, then you know I did everything I need to do on this trade, and you can go on about your business, live your life, go to work, enjoy your day. So that's the first 4 weeks. And people are doing really well. You can make the $1,000 in a day club. Remember, it's in a day with the first 4 weeks. But then once you get that down, the next 4 weeks, we take it a step further. Well, how do you make money when the stock market is falling? That's week 5. Like right now in January, the technology stocks have been dropping, and my VIP students are still making money. They're printing money now because it falls faster than it goes up. How do you do that? It's called short selling. Week 6, we go into gaps and Globex trading. So that's like, okay, there was some news overnight. There's this big gap in the stock price. How do I take advantage of that? That you can make so much money just trading gaps. Like I know some people that are killing it just in gaps. Then we go into options, and options is where you trade 100 shares of a stock at a time. For my real estate investors, it'd be like me doing a lease to own almost. Like I put the money up front 2 years to buy a place, and then I have the option to actually own the house at the end of the lease. That's kind of what you're doing in options contracts too. You're leasing stock until the expiration, and then you actually buy the shares. But you actually can make quite a bit of money doing options.
Is this something I could do on E-Trade?
You can, you could do any broker, but I will say some brokers are better than others. Interactive Brokers, TradeStation, TD Ameritrade are some of the best for active investors, because one, they can get in and out of trades quicker, so you get better pricing on your stock. Then also they have more tools. So for example, if I want to do something called like a trailing stop, like as the stock moves, then move my stop up with it. Different brokers have that capability. And then also there's something called margin, which a lot of people are scared of it, but I don't think my real estate investors would be scared, because you all know the idea of having a line of credit on your home. If you need to use it, it's there, but if not, then you don't use it. Having a margin account in trading is the same way, but it gives you more functionality. So like say you want to buy 100 shares of something, you can, because you have a little more buying power in that account, and then you can sell it the next day and be just fine. But
what's the minimum on the minimum margin is like 25 grand?
Actually, no, it's 2,000.
2,000? Okay. All right, awesome then.
Yeah, and it depends what broker. So like the at TradeStation, a lot of my students use TradeStation. You can get 4 times your cash amount, and you just have to have 2,000. So at 2,000, you can invest up to $8,000.
That's actually pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that. I know before we started recording, we talked about you had a few deals going on. something's coming up, so I want to make sure we don't miss that. Could you please
Oh
tell us what you got
yeah.
coming forward?
So when I was growing up, my senior year of high school, Google had their IPO.
Oh,
And that
okay.
means their initial public offering, and their shares were $83 per share. Now they're like a $3,000 per share. But I went to everybody, my grandmother, my teachers, trying to see how to get into it. And none of us knew, none of us knew how to start. We didn't know how to open an account. We didn't know how to buy a share, nothing. So, and I told you now, I don't do IPOs. But the point was, we didn't know what we were doing. So at the first week of February, first week of Black History Month, I'm going to be teaching a 5-day class to teach people how to take their first trade. So how do you open an account? How do you invest? We're going to actually do the overall index. So like the S&P was up 26% in 2021. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you, well, how do you invest in the overall indexes? What are they? What's in the S&P 500? What's in the Dow? What's in the NASDAQ? Then I'll show you an ETF, because that's how you'll be able to invest in a group of companies. And then we'll show you how to take a trade and how to exit a trade. So that way, if you or a child in your life ever wants to invest in a stock, you'll know how to do it. And we're doing it super cheap. It's like $55 to get in. And I'm doing it live in a Facebook group. And I know some people are like, I don't have Facebook. Don't worry. Sign up. And we might also do it on Teachable too. But it's a challenge. Take your first trade challenge. I would love to help anybody who's just interested in getting started.
You kind of had me chuckle a little bit because you just reminded me. I tried to buy a paper stock for my nephew for his birthday a couple of months ago, and I was like, I don't know how to do that because I'm so used to doing, Robinhood or E-Trade or something like that. But
Yeah. And actually, we're going to do that the first day we're opening up a brokerage account, and it can usually take 2 weeks to open a real account. So I'm going to talk about what makes a broker good versus others. So we remember, like I told you, some of the things that are like margin and some of the order types, but we'll also open a simulated account too, so that people can trade with paper money,
Mhm.
and that will help them like practice and get started. So I'm excited about it. I think the challenge will be great.
So I noticed that you're definitely very passionate about this. It goes even all the way back to Google being an IPO, which, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? I wish 20 years ago I would have even knew about stuff like this to do it.
Right.
But like I said, you have a passion for it. So we like to call it our rich state of mind. What is your big why as to, why you love doing this? You have a teaching soul, obviously, and you enjoy what you do. You have this big smile on, on right here now. So, what is your big why? Why do you like doing this?
I'm doing this for all the people that are crying in the bathroom like me. I felt like when I was in education that I had no other options. Like, this is the skill that I have been doing for the last 10 years. So I'm going to have to keep doing it until I retire. I have no other way out. And trading was my way out. And I want more people to feel that freedom, even if they like their jobs, just the idea that they can do more with their money. They can have more options. Nobody can tell you what to do. Like, if you're like, I had bad bosses every day, they tried to make me feel like I was less than, but you don't have to stay in that if you don't want to. So that's my why, helping people know that they have options and they can have more freedom in their life.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And it does seem kind of like a hill that is very hard to get over. And you feel like you're climbing this, ladder, this perpetual ladder that just will never end. So when you're able to finally get over there, I know it must be a crazy feeling. And I'm glad that you're helping people do that finding that freedom, relinquish them, from whatever issues that they have going on in their life. So this is pretty cool. And like I said before too, I myself personally, I love the fact that you are doing this, a Black female being able to teach this, something like this that is dominated by, obviously a male background, a male arena. So thank you for that too.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Thanks for even having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and I really appreciate your time, and I think my audience will too. That's why I'm looking forward to this episode posting to make sure that people hear about your or in time for your deal, your program, your live Facebook Live, and I want people to really check out your tradeandtravel.com as well. How can anybody else reach you? Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, we have a free webinar of how I teach people to make $1,000 in a day at tradeandtravel.com, as Anthony said. And then we also have on Instagram, Trade and Travel, and YouTube, a ton of free and really good content on YouTube at Trade and Travel as well.
Yes.
So yeah, just check us out. We're trying to get all the information out there. And our course, like I said, is #1 in the nation. So if you want to learn how to trade, we're here for you.
Yeah, I love your YouTube channel, by the way. Great content. So please check out Teri on her YouTube channel. It's a lot of information. And I love your thumbnails too, actually.
Thank you. Oh, my team will be excited to hear that. I'm always telling them we need to do better.
Well, Teri, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you for sticking with us from the start of the episode. Please share our show with friends and family, visit our YouTube channel, and view more of our content on richstateofmind.com. See you next week on the Rich State of Mind Show.